Hi guys, so we're now in the flight zone inside the actual butterfly farm. So Harriet, what can you tell us about the flight zone?
So the flight zone is where we have our free-flying butterflies. It's where the iguanas live and our free-flying birds as well.
Fantastic. So my first question sort of is, what is a butterfly?
So a butterfly is a type of insect. So all insects have 3 body parts and 6 legs. They don't have any bones in their bodies, so they have what's called an exoskeleton, and the part that makes it a butterfly are the 4 wings.
Fantastic. Now I can see loads of pretty butterflies flying around. Do you know how many there actually are inside this enclosure?
We try and keep around 3,000 butterflies flying on any given day. Because butterflies don't have the longest lifespan, we try and add about 1,200 butterflies per week into the farm.
So you're talking about the lifespan there, so how long will a butterfly typically live for?
So when a butterfly reaches the adult stage, which is a butterfly, most tropical butterflies live for about 6 weeks.
Wow, fantastic. And what do butterflies eat?
Butterflies can eat lots of different things, mainly either fruit juices or nectar. So we put lots of fruit out in the farm.
You can see there's lots of fruit everywhere.
Yeah, and they drink through what we call their proboscis, which is basically a straw on the top of their face, which they suck the juices up. Or they drink nectar from flowers. At the moment in the farm there aren't as many flowers as there will be in the summer, so we give them artificial nectar that we make ourselves.
Fantastic, because I can see there's lots of plants and lots of trees. Are these all purposely been put here for the butterflies?
Yeah, so before a butterfly is a butterfly, it lives as a caterpillar, and we do breed in the farm as well, so every plant that's planted in the farm is a specific food plant for a caterpillar.
Fantastic. Now, how do butterflies get their beautiful colours on their wings?
So a butterfly's wing is made of scales, very similar to a reptile's scales, but they're very delicate. So there is a powder that protects the wings, and it's the powder that's coloured.
Fantastic. And I've also heard that some butterflies can be poisonous. Is that true?
Yeah, so when a butterfly is a caterpillar, its food plant might give them a poisonous taste to them. So it's an advantage for a butterfly to be poisonous so that animals don't try and eat them. And they generally will tell an animal that they're poisonous by having the brightly colours.
Fantastic. Wow. So Harriet, we've got a really pretty blue butterfly here. What's this one?
So this butterfly is called the blue morpho butterfly. We get him from Belize, but you can find them in the top of the Amazon rainforest. So the wing section we can see here is his camouflage, so he's hiding into his surroundings so that animals don't eat him.
Okay.
And then the inside of his wings, if he decides to open them, you'll see a bright blue colour. So the blue is designed to shock a predator, and then hopefully the butterfly can get away in the few seconds that the predator is shocked.
So what other species do you have here at the farm?
Although this one is probably people's favourite butterfly, we also have the owl butterfly, who's got a lovely eye pattern on his wings, and that's another form of camouflage. We also have the deadleaf butterfly, and he looks just like a deadleaf. But the other butterflies that we see that are very colourful usually shows that they're a poisonous species as well.
And do butterflies have a sense of smell?
Yeah, so butterflies do smell, but not the same way we do because they don't have a nose. They use their antennae, so all insects have 2 antennae on the top of their head, and that's what the butterfly use to smell their food. When they land on their food, it's the feet that taste.
No way.
The butterfly would always sit on whatever it's eating so that it knows it likes the flavour. And then he drinks through his proboscis, which is this straw-like.
Fantastic. The size of the butterfly, I've always thought the bigger the butterfly, it means the longer they've lived. That's not true, is it now?
No, so a butterfly's pupa can be lots of different sizes. So the small butterflies come from a small pupa. Their wings are all scrunched up and very wet. So once they've hatched, they take some time to plump up their wings and then let their wings dry, and then they can fly.
Fantastic. And can butterflies sort of tell what the families are, or like the same species, or?
They do need to know their own species so that they can breed, but there are a few that they'll just generally sit together because they like the same food plants or things like that.
Okay, so we've now moved to the Discovery Zone area of the farm. So Harriet, can you tell me what happens in the Discovery Zone?
Yeah, so our Discovery Zone area is where we help to breed the butterflies. So essentially we're looking after the caterpillars. So all the plants here are food types for the caterpillars.
Oh, okay, because I've noticed there's lemon plants, avocado plants. Is this all the sort of stuff that they will eat?
Yeah, so there's only some butterflies will eat the leaves from a citrus plant. Only the owl butterfly will eat the leaves from a banana plant. So we have to grow those types of plants for the butterflies.
So if we can talk a little bit about the life cycle of a butterfly, each stage is in a little bit of detail.
Yeah.
So stage one.
So the first stage is the egg. A female butterfly will lay usually one egg per leaf, and that egg stays on that leaf until the caterpillar hatches. Then when the caterpillar hatches, the female butterfly was very clever because she only lays the egg on the plant that the caterpillar is going to want to eat. So the caterpillar will then eat lots of leaf until he's big enough and ready enough to turn into his butterfly.
Is that what we can see on that leaf there?
Yeah, so this is a banana leaf, and on that you can see butterfly eggs, and then here is the caterpillars. So there's a few different stages caterpillars here. These caterpillars will continue to eat until they're about this big. And then when he's ready, he's going to turn into a pupa, which is actually going to look like this pupa here.
Right.
So they camouflage themselves to look like a dead leaf. And he'll stay there until he has completely transformed from a caterpillar into a butterfly.
You've actually glued these onto this stick. Has that in any way affected the life cycle? Can it sort of feel like, you know, it's been stuck on?
No, not at all. During this process, there are no feelings or they can't sense anything. This is essentially a shell. So when we glue, we're not hurting the butterfly in any way. And as soon as the glue's dried, we put them into what we call our emerging case, which is a lot warmer, and that does start the process. If we don't want the butterflies to hatch, we can put them in an area that's slightly cooler, and they won't then hatch because they wouldn't want to hatch into a cold environment.
Wow. So at this stage, they don't actually eat anything, do they? So how do they grow?
It's a complete breakdown. So without getting too scientific, all the cells in a caterpillar's body breaks down and reforms into a butterfly. So it's not simply just a caterpillar growing wings. So it's a very technical process that the butterfly goes through.
Fantastic. So after this stage, what happens next?
So we put them into the emerging case, and then we wait for them to hatch. The butterfly will take a little bit of time to actually get to a point where they can fly, and then we release them into the flight area, and they're the butterflies that you see flying around in the farm.
Wow, it's fantastic, so interesting. And is it really, really important that they are kept in warm climates for them to actually grow?
Yeah, we want most of these butterflies to breed in the farm as well, so they've got to be nice and healthy. They won't like temperatures that are too cold, although in the night we still have to emulate tropical temperatures, so it does cool down at night time, which means in the morning when we come into work, that's when we see all the butterflies hatching as it gets warmer in the day.
Fantastic. Now I've heard that when you touch a butterfly's wings, or when you pick up a butterfly by the wings, it actually hurts them. Is that true?
In regards to sensing pain, that's a very difficult one to decide. But the reason why we ask people not to touch a butterfly is because their wings are made up of a scale, and the scale's got a powder that covers them. When we touch a butterfly, we knock that powder off, and the wing is no longer protected. So you can actually break the butterfly's wing by touching them. And then obviously they can't fly to find their food after that.
So Harriet, what's the difference between a butterfly and a moth? Are they the same thing?
It's a really difficult question, but there are a few things that we point out to visitors when they come to see our butterflies and our moths. The first main part with the moths that we have here is that our moths are called silk moths, and that means they create a cocoon around their pupa.
Right.
So this is a butterfly pupa, there's nothing else to it, whereas this here is what we call a silk moth cocoon. So what the caterpillar's done is he's built himself a cocoon and then pupated within the cocoon.
Right.
So I can actually open the cocoon up to check the health of the pupa inside.
Is that not hurting it at any point?
No, it doesn't. In the wild, this would be completely closed, and the caterpillars basically glued it. When they hatch, they're able to dissolve the glue to get out. But
Okay.
we've just given them a little helping hand.
Right.
But this is essentially a moth pupa. So generally speaking, most moths can create a cocoon. When we look at the moth itself, moths tend to be a lot hairier. Some people would say they're not as colourful, although
Yeah.
we do have moths here that are just as colourful as the butterflies.
Okay.
And if we look very closely, their antennae are feathered, so the antennae actually look like feathers, whereas a butterfly's antenna is always very straight.
Okay.
So that's the easiest
That's
way
easy
to tell
way
the
to-
difference.
Wow. And then what do moths eat? Do they eat the same sort of things as butterflies?
Yeah, so a lot of the moths, including the atlas moth that we were just looking at then, don't actually live as a moth long enough to eat. So they don't need to have any more nutrients as an adult moth. But as a caterpillar, yes, there are plants that a butterfly might eat as well.
I can see loads of them hanging on this tree in front of us. Have they been put on there to help them then? Do you guys actually stick those on?
Yeah, we hang them off the trees. With both butterfly pupa and moth pupa, gravity helps a lot, so they naturally would hang, so we're trying to
Replicate that.
here in the farm. And then the moths will hatch out, and they fly in this area only because they're not quite as good flyers as the butterflies, so we don't want them out in the flight area.
Wow, fantastic. I have learned so much about butterflies. Thank you so much for sharing all this information with us, Harriet. It's
You're
been
very welcome.
Absolutely fantastic learning all this.
Hi everybody, I hope you enjoyed it and definitely learned something new. We'll be back with a brand new episode same time next week.